Hey, welcome back to the lake. Hopefully you can hear me. Depending on what videos I have made and haven't made, you may have heard me mention about getting a new microphone. That did happen, but it showed up broken, so I had to ship it back to the online store that I purchased it from, and hopefully I'll be getting a replacement for that in the next week. In the meantime, you can probably hear me a lot better if I talk to the back of the camera. So, after some assessment and not knowing a whole lot about what the game plan is, and not really having asked a whole lot of people what to do, just haven't had the time, I want to get started. But basically, what we've decided to start with is take the old recip saw and we're just going to go ahead and cut away the benches. These benches we don't believe were truly molded in with the hull. You can see where there was likely some where they were tabbed in here. And again, I don't know if you can see underneath, but there's a lip here. So these are likely, yes, molded seats. Molded with the hull, I think not. So we're going to take that recip saw. We're going to start going along under here. See if we can cut out these seats, because the idea is, in order to get these wooden stringers out from under here where they're all just nasty, I don't know. I don't think I've shown a picture of that yet. Let's see if we can get a picture of that. Whoa, bear with me. Yeah, so it's all just soft fiberglass, and the wood, there's a piece of wood up under here. That is just dry rot to hell. It's dust. It's dust with old fiberglass over it. So this is not a nice working space to try and get to those. So the idea is cut out the benches. That'll give us a lot more room to work. We won't have to worry about trying to repair, like down here where this patch of fiberglass is pulling away. Won't have to worry about that. Can just sand the whole bottom of the hull smooth, lay up some new strips of fiberglass along the whole thing, and then worry about the benches. Really hoping that this dude doesn't give me too much trouble when I start up the recip saw. Spooky. All right. Let's see how it goes. What even is that? Is that just like uncured fiberglass? What? It's like soft. It's like wax. Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, maybe it's not bizarre. I have no experience with fiberglass, so. Yeah, and all that tape just pulls right up. Okay, so the ground's pretty soft underneath the back of the boat here. So I'm gonna try and dig it out a bit, try and get the old rear cradle under there. That way, so hopefully she'll still sit on the trailer, but the stern will be supported so I can get into the back of the boat and work on it. We'll see how it goes. Well, got the cradle under there. I think it's pretty good. You know, obviously a little gap there, might be a little bit tipsy on that side, but the main point is that the keel is supported at the stern here. Now I should be able to climb in the back here, continue with more of this tabbing around the seat, and start working on the tabbing on this side.
Hey, we have made a discovery! Hold on, let me take my...
Alright, my face probably looks gross right now, but we made a discovery. Come up on in here with me. So, ow. Started chipping away at this other bench, and look, they are. The benches are a separate piece. These are just little fiberglass tabs molded up over for something for the benches to attach to. I don't know, but see, there's a gap. So, yes, I believe that we will be taking both of these benches out of here. Yeah, I mean, might as well. Out with the old, in with the new, right? That'll give us a lot more room to work with. Getting up in here and fixing all that. And then just redo these fiberglass tabs that hold the benches in. Can fix this up. Pretty sure there's a stringer of wood that runs along the inside corner of here, or at least just a block for where this old bench for the jib cleat attached to. So there's at least a block of wood down here. These seem pretty solid that the screws were into when I took out those. And I don't know if you would call these little benches the piece of wood that's strung across from the center board. Shoot, the name of this is escaping me now too. I gotta get all these new terms under my belt. I don't have that much sailing experience to have all of this down packed. But yeah, so we can pull the benches out and really assess these benches and get them all looking good too, rather than just doing the best that we can with them still in the boat. So, more scraping, more chipping, more oscillating. Hopefully get some kind of powered sander out here too to see what happens. And we're back for an update. Progress is good so far. Less exploratory cuts, more so getting shit done. So, we had that done before, up until about this point. Now we're cut all the way around up until about this point, and then up here towards the bow, got all this cut out up until along here. So now if I lift this up, boom, look at that. That's all loose along there. So now I'm starting to make cuts up in here, and we'll see how that goes. And there you have it. That's one bench out. I'm pretty happy with that. I haven't even looked at it yet. I just stopped the time lapse after I flipped it over. Let's check it out. Quite wet on the inside. That would have been just under the gun walls, under the deck, edges of the deck. See a pretty significant crack there. I'm gonna say that has to do with that patch job on the side. See right here as well, where the hull's cracked. Oh, wow, I can actually see light coming through that hull crack down there. I don't know if you can see that. When I got the boat, as far as hull structural integrity, that was the only obvious thing. So I knew that that was gonna be there. Looks a little bit worse than I expected on the inside, but that's likely where this crack came from. Yeah. We got ourselves a bench out of the boat. And underneath it here, ooh, just a whole bunch of blocks of foam. I feel like this is not the original foam that was under it. So it almost leads me to believe that these benches were taken off maybe once before. Cannot confirm, but oh my God, they're just soaking wet. That's disgusting. Yeah, we're gonna replace all that too. I need to get me some garbage bags. Yeah, I think that's about it though. I think I'm gonna call it a day with that. I might go throw some discs on a sander and just try touching some spots around here. See how that goes. You know, I'm gonna clean up, put everything away, but I think that does it for essentially day one of actual restoration on the boat. I'll show you the cutout around here. So this would be all the original edge under here of the seats. And up here you can see this is where it was broken. I guess this whole spot would be where it was actually broken. This is where I started cutting and exploring. You know, obviously cut off the tabbing, but that's okay. This was broken here too already. And then also up along this side is where I realized to start cutting under the tabbing. You kind of see really well right here where the tabbing to hold down the tabbing on the seats or benches overlapped. You watched me on the time lapse cut out the top of it here. And then of course just broke it off the back. Hopefully that's not hull fiberglass that broke off. I don't think so. No, that's just the under the side of the tabbing. We'll find out. Next steps after taking the other bench out is to take the sanders to the entire inside of this, take it down 1 millimeter or 2, get rid of, you know, the old edges of tabbing. This stuff is thick, man. It is hard as a rock. It's gonna be tough to get that off of there. Get rid of this old epoxy where they plugged out the old drain, sand down the centerboard housing really well, and then at that point we'll hopefully be able to lay up, you know, a couple layers of glass on the entire inside of this hull. Reinforce the keel down around the centerboard as well. And yeah, I think that'll be step one. And probably coinciding with that will be to replace the wooden stringers up under the gun walls of the deck and this one up under the transom, because I just tried to step up here at the back of the stern and whew, it almost broke. But I think this the actual deck fiberglass, you know, it's pretty good for the most part. So we'd like to salvage that and not cut it. And so that was one of the decisions or reasons behind us deciding to take the benches out. With the benches out, we'll be able to come up here and pull out this tabbing that's covering the wooden stringer under here. And, you know, that'll allow us to replace it from underneath rather than having to cut out the deck in order to replace that. And then, you know, hopefully be able to fill these holes with epoxy, re-drill them to mount the new stringers under there. Again, I'm calling them stringers. I don't know what the technical term for them would be. Hopefully we'll find out someday. But yeah, really, once we get those two things done, she will be most of the way ready to sail again. I don't know why I'm saying that. That's not true. That's not true at all. We still got to fix this mast hole, you know, take a real good look at the aluminum rail around the edge. And then especially back here in the transom, you know, I've showed you this all before, but this is bare wood right here. This is just a very thin piece of wood that runs along the back underneath. So again, fiberglass for the most part good. I don't really think there's any way we can get it and replace this wood. So maybe just, you know, like Mads does on Sail Life. If you fiberglass the hell out of the rotten wood, it doesn't really matter if the wooden core rots all the way out of there and disappears entirely, because you got the structure supported by the fiberglass over it. So maybe we'll just end up glassing over that. Who knows? Decisions to be made. I think it was a good first big decision to take these benches out. Okay, well, here we are. End of official restoration, day 1, I'd say. Just about wrapped up for the day. Show you what I'm working with. Got one contractor bag filled with old wet foam. Look at this, look at this. Can you see that? That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. Soaking wet styrofoam. So yeah, that's definitely not going back in. I tried just a small powered hand sander with some super old 100 grit on it because I couldn't find any other discs. And yeah, it smoothed it out a little bit, didn't really do much. We're gonna need some real aggressive stuff to sand the inside of this. I got it all swept up, got that last little pile to bag up. That's pretty much it. Just gonna throw the tarp back on here. The back end's up a lot higher now with it on the cradle, so if any water does get in here, it's just gonna sit right in the middle, but can't do any more damage than is already done to it. It had stormed pretty bad the day before we got here, which was yesterday. So in the middle of the tarp, there was a couple gallons of standing water, but luckily since it was that nice new tarp, it didn't get into the boat at all. Just had to pour it off the tarp. So I think it'll be fine sitting here with the tarp back on it. Just gonna leave the bench down here for now. Next time we'll get that other bench out. I think that should only take another hour or two. But yeah, take it easy.